Hey everybody, I'm Justin Bohn.
And I'm Mike Val.
And this is the Bohn N Zano Zone, where we are always on the lanes, off the charts, and on the mic. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Bohn N Zano Zone podcast. We have a super exciting episode today, and a new title called Storytime with Parker Bohn III.
Yeah. No introduction necessary today.
No, we don't need to go on. He's just dad today. He's dad, and he's going to tell stories.
And I want to clear the air really quick, Justin. Okay.
Okay.
So Parker, ever since we started this, like 3 or 4 months ago, Justin, we've been really like hardcore doing this.
Yeah.
So many people have sent me messages saying you need to stop insulting Parker on his league bowling, and I want to just clear the air. And that I'm just breaking chops, and there is no disrespect. So anybody out there that watches us, it is no disrespect to Parker. It is just a joke that we have with each other, correct?
There is no disrespect at all. I try my best to average 215 in league, and I will continue to watch you miss almost every 10-pin you shoot at.
See, that's all we want. So there is no disrespect. There's no animosity between Parker and myself. It is just an inside joke. We are very good friends, and we wouldn't have it any other way, correct?
We certainly are. I'm going to go see a couple of juniors that just started league bowling to see if they can teach you how to make a 10-pin.
If you can tell me how to do it or Google it correctly, that would even be easier for me. But there is no disrespect. We cleared the air, so our fans don't have to think that Parker and I hate each other or I'm insulting him. By no means have I ever tried to insult you or anything along those lines.
No, what goes to comes from. It goes back and forth all the time.
Oh, it's like a comedy show when we're together.
Oh yeah, it's not good.
No, it's not good, and we should charge admission when we're together when bowling league.
Yeah, you probably could.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I look at it this way. You never used to say anything negative towards my bowling when you had a full head of hair.
No, never.
No.
And it's my spare shooting that's made me have less of my hair.
That only started to happen as you started hearing that whoosh.
Yeah,
and it was.
And I used to see people going to the reset button too, right?
Only sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. We'll forget about that for now. This is not going to be focusing on how bad of a spare shooter I am when you're around.
Well, before we get into the stuff that happened outside the bowling world, you just said the reset button, and I think that you should open up with that story about the time you hit the reset button.
Oh, you mean at the PBA 50 event down in the Villages?
Yes.
With a good friend of mine, John Donovan.
Yes.
Well, when John came out on tour, John, he really knew Jason Couch, and he knows Jason much better than he knows me. But since Jason and me wore him together out on tour, John came out there periodically on and off for about the better part of a year and a half there. And roll forward, now we're about 20 years later, and now John's eligible for the PBA 50 tour. So we're bowling the Villages, and coincidentally, we're on the same pair. And the first round, John absolutely goes out there and bowls outstanding, leads the tournament with about 370 over for an 8-game block, but unfortunately missed almost every single 7-pin that he shot at. So we went out for lunch. We spent about an hour and a half at lunch. We're talking, about things in the past, but I'm going to say we spent a fair amount of time talking about shooting spares, especially the 7-pin, and how would be the best way to go about making them, at least most of them. And I don't mean missing almost every one. So I said, yeah, go back home, because he said he was going home that night. I said, Drill yourself up a plastic ball. It's equivalent to a putter in golf. Obviously, break your wrist back, but get the ball to formulate to where it just continues to drift or go straight across the lane opposite, obviously, going over to center arrow to make the 7-pin. Oh, I'm going to go home. I'm going to do that tonight. I'm right on top of it. Come back out the next day. We get on our pair of lanes. And I looked at John and said, so what color plastic ball did you get? What are you talking about? Well, after our lunch, you said you were going home to drill a plastic ball. Oh, I didn't have time. I got home and the shop was closed and I was doing something else. I go, are you kidding me? We really went to lunch and talked about that for an hour and a half, maybe almost 2 hours, to be honest with you, because neither one of us had a whole lot of shows there. And so the first game we go out, he goes 6 in a row, 7-pin miss it, strikes out. 260. Well, keep in mind, he's still bowling great. He's the tournament leader. Well, after he missed the 7-pin, I told him, I said, I'm just telling you right now, you leave another 7-pin, I'm hitting the reset button. He goes, no, you're not. I said, watch. We go to the next pair. He starts off the first frame with a spare or a strike. I don't even remember. He goes the second frame. He leaves a 7-pin. Machine goes through its cycle. I went up there politely, hit the button, reset the machine. Sweep comes down, sweeps off the 7-pin. And the guys on that pair and the guys on the pair next to us are absolutely hysterically laughing. John is beat red in the face. And I'm just sitting there on the chair going, hey, I told you. Okay. Now think about it before you shoot it. Now I had to call the front desk and ask them to reset up the 7-pin.
Yeah.
I did do that. I didn't ask him to do that. I took care of everything accordingly. Don't you know, they set up the 7-pin and he goes ahead and shoots it and misses it again. And he specifically told me, he goes, Parker, I didn't know if I wanted to choke the living daylights out of you or just sit with my red face in my hands over on the side where nobody else could watch it. So we proceeded to bowl and go on accordingly. Now, keep in mind, folks, he did not have a spare ball the rest of the block, but something triggered and something happened. Because, Mike, he didn't miss another 7 from the rest of the block.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And he didn't have a spare ball, but he made all of them. So maybe he thought about it a little bit harder, or maybe he broke his wrist back a little bit more. But mysteriously, all of a sudden, John Donovan became an excellent spare shooter at shooting the 7-pin.
Now, was that a finable offense for you for resetting a machine on him? Did you get fined for that?
I got to be quite honest. It might have been. Fortunately, I didn't get fined for it. I mean, I wasn't trying to be unbecoming a professional. I was trying to make a point. The guy couldn't make a 7-pin. For God's sakes, you're running away with the tournament. You're leading it ahead of all these other guys. And you could be leading by another 100 pins if you could figure out how to pick that one up in the corner. Well, needless to say, we all laughed about it afterwards. Let's just say that some of the other guys around there, Chuck Gardner was sitting right there. He couldn't believe what I did. Sam Macaron was bowling right there as well. He started cracking up. He couldn't believe what was going on. But a couple other guys got a much better laugh out of it. I was being dead serious. He was beat red in the face, and they were chuckling.
Well, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. I mean, that's not a bad idea. You helped him at the long run, right?
It must have helped him because, like I said, he didn't miss another one the rest of the block. Now, I can't explain what happened after that because once you made the cut after that, you were bowling match play, and he wasn't necessarily bowling me every game, and it wasn't like we were next to each other. So whatever happened after that, I can't really tell. I don't know. But unfortunately, I don't believe he made the top 5 when we were done with 16 games of match play the following day. Which is kind of sad because he was bowling exceptionally well. But I'll just put it this way. Hopefully there was something good to be learned from it.
Oh, Justin, I'm speechless.
He taught him a lesson.
Yeah. And a lesson on the biggest stage, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well,
has that been done before? Have you seen? Yeah. Have you ever seen anybody else do that on tour?
No, I've heard of some stories. I actually had one story myself where I've watched guys that go strike 10-pin, strike 10-pin, strike 10-pin. I forget the name of the player. Johnny Petraglia knows it best. And after this happened to the same player, the first 4 frames, when he got up in the 10th, he picked off the 10-pin first, made the spare, and then struck, or left another 10-pin, something along those lines. And for me, I remember bowling a regional one time. Actually, it was down in Baltimore, and I was bowling Brian Zizek for the title. I went something along the lines of strike ringing 7, strike solid 9, strike solid 10, strike 7-pin again. And when I got up and got a strike in the 9th, the first shot in the 10th, I picked the 7-pin off clean, made my spare, and I think I got 9 on a fill ball for 199. Brian Zizek had the front 7 or 8, and the game was irrelevant.
All right.
That's a good opening one.
That's a very good opening one, Justin. So are we going to get on track here, or are we just going to let him just keep talking?
Do we want to talk about what happened in the bowling world?
Well, really, really quick. I think we have to.
Yes. And
I'm sure he knows what we are referring to.
Yep, the Lucy being postponed.
I did hear that.
Yeah,
yep, I did.
And it's probably the best thing with everything going on.
Yeah, we were starting to almost see the light at the end of the tunnel, and the cases started to rise back up, and especially in the Houston area.
Yeah,
and it was probably better for them with 2 weeks before their event to postpone it until everyone can come down there and be safe and do it the right way and have a good time with it.
Parker, have you ever bowled a Lucy before?
I have. Fortunately, I finished second 1 year with Carolyn Doran Ballard, and the very next year we were fortunate enough to win and claim victory. So it's a really, really awesome event. Unbelievable when you look at everything that goes on there behind the scenes to make that event what it is. It's probably the biggest, the most prestigious, let me say, mixed doubles event that you can bowl in throughout the year. Every name, significant player on both the men's and the ladies' side has had a partner of some sort throughout the years, especially over the last 10 or 15 years, and have shooted up, gone out there and been a part of, well, I can't say it more honestly, of one of the best and most well-run events that your money can be put on the table to go and be a part of. They have a Calcutta before. They have plenty of raffle items. Your name automatically gets put into a drawing. That's an endless amount of raffle items. Actually, believe it or not, that's how I got my first laptop. My name was drawn. I had a laptop. Now I had to figure out how to use it. But it really, really is an awesome event. It's very sad to see that it's been canceled or postponed. I don't know exactly, what they're doing there one way or the other, because at first when it was going on, I was supposed to be taking place in the PBA 50 tour. And then, although that was canceled out, I didn't look at that going forward because I knew that Justin, Brandon, and Sydney were bowling the Teen Masters. And as dad, obviously, I'm going to try to help Leslie and be a parent and try to help them in what now, at that moment, has become the biggest event that they're probably going to bowl in for the year because Junior Gold has been canceled out. And then all of a sudden, I hear this is going on and the tournament's been canceled. And, for Mike and for Justin, I know I said this to him a couple of months ago. We all need to be respectful on what the end decision is, regardless of what the event is. It's not just bowling. Everything else in the world right now is kind of like up in the air. A call can be made today and it can be totally reversed tomorrow just because of what the outcome and what's going on in the world or the immediate area surrounding it. I think that we all need to guard under the, let me say, the stay safe, stay healthy, because there'll be many more events and future events for all of us to participate in. So I personally don't want to get sick. I don't want to see my family and friends get sick. And if you postpone it right now or you kind of look and go, shrug your shoulders, well, we coulda, we shoulda. Don't worry. There's going to be another event, especially the Lucy will be back on board bigger and better than it ever was.
How many years have they had that?
I want to say that tournament's been going on some 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's been going on for quite some time. That's for sure. It's awesome. It really is awesome. And I can't even describe it any other way. It truly is an awesome first-class event from start to finish.
So that's like one you got to put on the bucket list if you're a big-time bowler. You want to make your way down there with an opposite-sex partner, you're saying?
Absolutely. And when I say that, when you look at some of the bowlers that have bowled it, men or ladies side, the best of the best have bowled it. Okay. And some of those partners or some of those significant bowlers, respectfully on either tour, have not been teamed up with another significant bowler on the other tour. Okay. There's been some really great ladies that have bowled with some local men that they know they want to bowl doubles with. Okay. They don't get an opportunity to bowl all year round. And now they've got a chance to shoe up there. And there's been some significant men that have shoed up and bowled with a lady. And I don't want to say a lesser quality lady. I mean, I'm just talking about a lady maybe that doesn't have the name like Liz Johnson or Kelly Kulik, just to pick two names off the top of my head. Okay. There are a lot of awesome teams. There's a lot of great players. And we all know, Mike, and you know this because you bowled plenty of tournaments. There's a lot of really great bowlers and great players that have really good jobs that don't bowl the men's or ladies tour. Well, when you go to an event like that, you can actually open up your eyes and look left and look right and go, wow, he throws it really well. Oh my God, do you see how well she rolls it? Why are neither one of them on tour? Pretty much the answer is because they've got a family, they've got a home life, they've got a good job at home, and the tour for them, for whatever the reason, just doesn't fit into the cards.
Good answer there, man.
Yep. Good
First
stuff.
class all the way. Well, go ahead, Justin.
So very quickly, I'm going to say our next show on Thursday. We have the trivia contest finals, a fatal three-way with Tim Mack, Matt McNeil, and Johnny Petraglia Jr. 6 o'clock. It's going to be a good one. And
Parker has approved the questions.
Yes, he did. We were on the way home today, and he approved them. So
Parker, I wanted them to be kind of like on a flatter pattern, not too much of a walled-up pattern for Thursday.
I think they'll be okay.
I just want to see Timmy just kind of keep getting beat red in the head.
No, well, I'm going to tell you right now, the boys got some work in front of them. That's for sure.
I did a good job.
They're going to enjoy it. And, you know, probably it's not just the boys are going to enjoy it, the guys, but the fans that are going to be listening, okay, because they're going to rattle their heads. There's going to be one or two of them that they're going to go, oh, that's a pretty easy one, okay? And when I say easy, they're going to think twice because they're going to think there's something else behind it. When actuality, don't read between the lines. But when you look at some of the other questions you come up with, good for you. Good for you.
I did a good job.
Yes, you did. You did some homework there.
I did do some homework, and I used a couple sources. Mr. Lickstein helped me as well.
Oh, boy.
Oh.
Yeah, so
that'll be on Thursday night at 6 p.m. All right. Now it's time to get into the stories.
Story time.
I think, Mike, we can't not open up, or this was the first one I had written down. We've talked about it numerous times in the past. Your trip to Kuwait.
Yeah, I never heard of that one until you said it, Justin.
I
never heard it until you said it a couple weeks ago.
Did he give you the whole story?
No. I gave you one. I think I gave him one part, but put your seatbelts on. This is going to be a good one.
Yeah, Mike, I don't know if we've got enough time here tonight for me to get this whole story off. Okay.
We might have to cross some of the other ones off the list to make sure this one does get in.
Yeah. This must be really good.
I'm going to try to not sugarcoat it. I'm going to try to give you the actual story the way that it happened. So grab your drink and take a seat here. It all started out, obviously, I'm going over to Kuwait to bowl. I'm meeting my good friend Sean Rash and a couple of the other guys down in Washington, D.C. My flight is going to originate in Newark. So I call up the airlines just to make sure, yep, everything is on time, no problem. Leslie takes me up to the airport. She drops me off. I go check in. Says I got plenty of time. I walk down to the gate after I've got everything checked in, and I look, and it says, your flight is delayed 45 minutes. 45 minutes. Well, if I look at it, my flight's delayed 45 minutes. My connection in D.C., where I'm going to, mine, it's only hop, skip, and a jump from Newark to D.C., my connection in D.C. was only 45 minutes. So you can't land and get on a plane immediately. Yeah. So now I'm like, okay, I've been down this road before. Let me go over and talk to somebody to find out what we can do here, or if this is really true. So I talked to the first person, and they tell me everything that they're showing shows that the flight is going to be 45 minutes late. Well, that's not going to be good. can you do me a favor? Can you please pull my luggage off of the flight? Because now we've got to try to find another flight to get me to Kuwait. So they start looking on their manifest. First thing they come up with, they can get me into London. There's plenty of seats for the flight going into London. Great. But there are no seats for 48 hours going from London to Kuwait. Well, I obviously can't sit in London because I got to get off the plane basically to bowl another tournament. So now they're going to try to orchestrate something else. They try to orchestrate me going into Munich, or I'm sorry, not Munich, to Frankfurt. And they look in once again. They can get me, they can get flights out of Frankfurt to Kuwait, but they can't get me into Frankfurt. Okay, that's not good. So now she goes, well, wait a minute here. We've got something else. We can send you down to Washington, D.C., and then you can go Washington, D.C. to Frankfurt, and then Frankfurt to Kuwait. Well, great. Well, what flight is that? That's going to put me back on the original flight.
Yeah.
Well, now we got to recheck my luggage back in on that original flight. Keep in mind, I'm not 100% sure what's going on with my luggage after all these other flights we talked on. So I go back over there. I get in touch with the guys down in D.C. I tell them, guys, I'm not going to make it on the flight, but I am on my way. So I get on the flight. I go down to D.C. Once I get there, they're messaging me. Hey, did you land yet? Did you land? Come on, they're getting ready to close the door. Once again, I'm sorry. I just landed. Once I've landed, now I turn my phone on, to receive their messages. And I'm like, guys, we're not even at a gate yet. I can't get off the plane to get onto your flight. So I get off the plane and I'm sitting there for a couple of minutes. And a guy looks at me, one of the guys who works for the airline. He goes, sir, can I ask what you're doing? I said, I'm just making sure that my luggage got on this flight. I'm supposed to go for a couple of connections here and then go into Kuwait. He goes, sir, where are you going? I said, well, I'm headed on a flight right now going to Frankfurt. He goes, well, sir, all I can tell you is this. It's a long way to your gate and you need to get going right now because it's going to take you quite a while. But more importantly, don't worry. Your luggage will get there before you do. Now, just file that one in your head, Mike. Okay? Your luggage will get there before you do. So I politely get over to my flight that I'm going to Frankfurt on, and I am the last one to walk onto the flight. Okay, door shuts right behind me. And to know that I'm the last one, as I'm getting closer to my gate, they are paging me in the airport. That's probably not a good sign. So I picked up the pace a little bit the last couple hundred feet. So I get on there. Everything is fine. Fortunately, I'm bumped up. I'm in business class right now, and everything is going wonderful. We go to land, and as we land, I happen to look outside my window, and I go, I've been to Frankfurt plenty of times. We're not at Frankfurt Airport. We're in Munich. I don't know why we're in Munich right now, but we have just landed in Munich. So the captain of the plane comes on and he says, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry to say, but they've got bad weather right now in Frankfurt, and therefore Frankfurt Airport is shut down for a little while. So we are going to sit here and wait until things clear up. Now, Mike, I've got a 6-hour layover in Frankfurt. I've got plenty of time. Okay? Time is my friend right now. Everything is good. No problem. Well, as we're sitting there, the planes start to stack up. 1, 2, 3. Now there's 7 or 8 planes, just as big as we are. We're on a United flight, and all these other planes are Lufthansa. Well, one by one, they start to unload the Lufthansa planes.
That's the big cargo planes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I know those.
3 or 4 hours sitting there right now on the, not really on the tarmac. We're just parked off there, but we can't get off the plane. Now the captain comes on and he says, ladies and gentlemen, I am sorry, but Frankfurt Airport is shut down for the rest of the evening. So therefore, you will have to deplane. You will have to get your luggage, and then you will have to go back upstairs and remake another flight getting to your final destination. Don't worry. We have plenty of people at the counter to take care of you. Everything will work out just fine. Okay, Mike, I've been down this road a couple of times. I don't need to tell you. You go to get off the plane. A guy pulls up in a bus to take everybody inside, and then the bus takes off with nobody. Captain comes back on. I'm sorry for the delay, everybody, but it seems to be that there are about 1,000 to 1,500 people in line going through customs right now. So instead of everybody, we had 450 people on our flight. So instead of 450 additional people adding to that mess, you're comfortable sitting in the plane. We're going to hold off for another hour, and you can just sit here and let everything go. Wonderful. Well, we roll forward. Here comes the bus again. He takes everybody inside. We're going to get our luggage. We go inside to go get our luggage. Like I said, 450 people, Mike. Everybody gets their luggage except
that guy.
Yours truly now has to go over to baggage claim to go file a claim to try to figure out where my luggage is, and or if it's not on this flight, God only knows with all the other flights going on, I can't even begin to tell you where my luggage is going to be. So I fill out the claim and everything, and it seems to be that they said that my luggage is going to get there, but it was put on my original flight going down to DC, which was the flight I was on, but they re-tagged it for the flight for tomorrow going directly from DC to Kuwait. Okay, so meanwhile, I've got to go check in for this, or not check in, but I've got to go upstairs and change a flight. So I go up to go change a flight. There are 200 people at least in line for the regular United Airlines. There's about 40 people in line in the business class. I stand there probably for about 40 minutes and move 2 feet. I look over in the first class, and there were 3 people in line. Now there's only 2 people. Oh, but they're both being taken care of. Well, I just go step over in the first class line. Going to go try to get taken care of.
Absolutely.
I was the next one up. Took me about 10 minutes to get there. Once I get to the lady is awesome. It did take her an hour to reconnect me with certain things that had to go on. Okay. She put me on a totally different airline going through Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
And then once I get to Abu Dhabi, then I'm going to take and connect and go on to Kuwait. Wonderful. How much time do I have? A couple hours, 3-4 hours, whatever it was. I don't know exactly, but I got to go to a different terminal. Everything is fine. She goes, but your luggage, I've confirmed it. You're going to be on that. The luggage will be on that flight the following day going to Kuwait. Perfect. We're all good. I walk over to the other terminal. I go to check in, and there's nobody there but the lady behind the desk. So it's just her and me. And I go to check in. I hand her my passport. I hand her everything else. And she looks at me politely and she says, okay, sir, where's your luggage? I said, ma'am, this is the only bag I have. She goes, it says you're going over there. You're going to be over there for 2 weeks. I said, yes, ma'am. She goes, where's your luggage? I said, well, they've lost it or misplaced it. It's going to be over there. That's impossible. You can't fly without luggage. Okay. I can't let you get a boarding pass to get on this. I'm like, are you kidding me here? Wait a minute. Why do you do this? Okay. I'm trying to rectify a situation. They put me on your flight. Just please give me a seat. Everything is set up. It took her about 15 minutes. She goes through everything, Mike. As she goes through it all, she realizes, yes, it is in the manifest that my luggage is sitting there. So once she sees that, now she can give me my boarding pass to get on this flight. Emirates Airline. Never been on Emirates Airline before. It was a nice airline. Okay, everything was fine. I go through. I'm sitting there. And as I go through and I look right above my gate when I get there, keep in mind it's about 7:30, 8 o'clock. My flight doesn't leave until about 9:45.
This is in the evening. In the evening.
Yes, in the evening.
Okay.
There's a big sign that says above the gate, our doors close 20 minutes prior to departure. Perfect.
That's normal, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So I sit down and I'm watching the time. Time rolls by. It's 8:15, 8:30, 9 o'clock, 9:15, 9:30, and there's nobody starting to board yet. The flight's at 9:45, mind you. Then they make an announcement. Folks, yes, we're going to start boarding here momentarily, but our flight is going to be a little bit delayed tonight going into Abu Dhabi, and therefore we will get everything and we will get things underway as soon as possible. Wonderful. So Everything goes through. We actually leave probably 10:15. I get on a plane. I'm dead tired. Once I get on the plane, and I'm starting to think to myself, this is a pretty amazing story so far. So I go backtrack and I write all the notes down for everything. And when I say this, Mike, they are somewhere in my house because it turned into be a small manifest. I wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything.
This has to be in your memoirs when you write your book.
Oh, God, it's crazy. So about a half hour before we land, I see one of the airline stewardess. I said, sir, I've never been to Abu Dhabi before. I said, this is where obviously our flight now, and this is where I got to go out of. And he looks right at me and his eyes get big and round. And he goes, oh my, this is a really big airport. He goes, looking at when we're going to land and where you need to go, I would recommend you run. I go, you're kidding me. I mean, I got a carry-on bag here that's, it's got wheels on it, but still. He goes, I would recommend that you run. Oh, wonderful. Just what I want to see. So as soon as I get off the plane, here's a lady standing there, Mr. Bohn. I'm thinking, cool. Maybe they're going to pick us up. Been to airports before. They give you that little taxi thing, that service, to get over the other flight so that you can make your flight. Because keep in mind, I'm tight squeezed for making this tournament. She hands me another boarding pass. I said, ma'am, what is this? She goes, this is your new boarding pass for your next flight. I go, what are you talking about? She goes, well, you can't possibly make this flight now. It's too far. What? I can't wait here. I got to get going. So I said, I don't need that. I go running. I got to go through another security and another area there because we're in a different country now. Obviously, everything I need to go through. I get all the way there. The gate is closed at my flight. And here comes somebody up the jetway. The plane is still there and it's connected. Here comes somebody up from the jetway. I said, please, here's my boarding pass. I got to get on this flight. Sir, do you see the sign? What's that? Our doors close 20 minutes prior to departure. You're kidding me here. I just went through this, for God's sakes. Okay. So, didn't matter. They weren't going to allow me. She said, here's your new boarding pass. Printed something out. My flight's going to leave at 12 o'clock. I do remember that because now it's like 8 o'clock in the morning there. Okay. So 12 o'clock, and I'm thinking to myself, I've got to hang around Abu Dhabi airport now for a couple hours. I've been 30 hours, Mike, to this point, in an airplane or in an airport. You know what? I need to go take a shower. That would be a really good thing. So I got all the status in the world in United, but United's not there. Since they put me on Emirates, maybe they co-chair. Let me go upstairs to the United Lounge and try to see if I can't get somebody to allow me to use the shower. I walk up there and I explain to him, yes, I'd like to know if I can use your shower services. I don't want your food. I don't want your internet. I certainly don't drink. Anybody that knows me knows I don't drink. Just, can I please use your shower? Are you a member of our Emirates program? No, ma'am. I'm sorry, I am not. Well, we're sorry, sir. You cannot use the shower here. But really, that's all. No, sir. I'm sorry, you cannot use the shower. But there are public showers downstairs that you can go use. Really? She explains where they are. Wonderful. Thank you very much for your time. I go downstairs. I walk, 100 feet, whatever the case may have been. Here I am at the public showers. It's in a restroom there. Okay. And they're private showers. They look really nice. There's plenty of room inside of them. I look inside. There's no towels. So now I look at the gentleman that's out there cleaning one of the shower areas. And I go, sir, I said, do you have towels? And he looks at me and goes, you didn't bring a towel? I go, bring my own towel? No, that's not the first thing I carry in my pack in my carry-on. Okay? I said, I just like to know if I can get a towel, a clean towel. And he looks around. He goes into the toilet stall next to me or next to him, comes out with a roll of toilet paper and goes like this all over his chest and then gives me the roll. I go, are you flipping kidding me? I'm not drying myself off with a roll of toilet paper. I'm going to look like a moron walking through the airport. So I said, forget it. I walked away. This is crazy. Now I'm a little bit upset for all the obvious reasons.
No.
I go find my gate where I'm going to be. I find my gate. Couple minute walk from my gate, there's a Starbucks.
Okay.
Back, I get a Starbucks. I'm sitting there, minding my P's and Q's. I am the first seat at my gate. I look up, says my flight number, Emirates Airline going to Kuwait. Look at my watch. Says about 10 o'clock in the morning. Flight leaves at 12. 10:15, 10:30, 11 o'clock, 11:30, 11:45. Here's the sign. Doors closed 20 minutes prior to departure. I go, are you kidding me? I walk up. I see the guy. I said, sir, I said, I'm supposed to be on this flight. There's no announcements. There's no anything. I said, what happened? Is the flight delayed? He looks right at me, goes, sir, we made an announcement an hour ago. That flight's been changed to a different gate. It's at gate such and such. And I go, I beg your pardon. You didn't make that announcement. He goes, oh, yes, we did. I said, hey, pal, let me show you something. I walk to the front, just like I am right now, Mike. I go, look, right here at the front. It says Kuwait, 12 o'clock with the airline flight. I said, let me look at what your side says. Oh, your side says Kuwait, 12 o'clock with the airline sign. I said, you made no announcement. I've been sitting here for the last 2 hours. He goes, well, sir, all I can tell you is it's at a such and such a gate, and you better run to get there because the gates close 20 minutes prior to departure. Oh, for God's sakes. I told him, I said, I'm going to take off now. But I looked right at him as I left. I said, I'm just telling you, if I get there and the doors are closed because the flight's left, you're going to hear me scream wherever I am in this airport. Okay? I don't care. I get all the way there, Mike. Flight is delayed for an hour. You can't write this script. This is ridiculous right now. You gotta be kidding me. So now I'm sitting there waiting for another hour. I finally get on my flight to Kuwait. I finally land in Kuwait, and I've got my baggage tags. Okay.
Now your bag should be there now, right?
Bag should be there. And somewhere during this whole trip, and it would have been in my paperwork if I had it, somewhere in this whole trip, somebody else told me, don't worry, your bags will be there before you. So
I remember that. Yeah.
So I get there. I look around. Obviously, I know my stuff's not on this flight, but I'm going to check just to make sure. There's nothing there. So now I take and I look around, and I don't see any pieces of luggage anywhere around there that look like mine. So to go check or claim your luggage, you have to go outside to claim your luggage. Well, when I go outside to fill out this claim thing, the lady looks at me and she goes, well, sir, your luggage is not coming in for another 3 hours because of this flight that's coming from America is delayed. I go, 3 hours? Are you kidding me? I'm supposed to be going to get ready to bowl. I mean, Mike, I have gone from getting there 20 hours before I needed to be on the lanes to now this flight comes in at 3 hours and I'm supposed to be ready to bowl in 3.5 hours or 3 hours and 45 minutes, whatever it was. So I go to the hotel, I take a shower and
use a towel, have a towel.
Yeah, now I have a towel, but I've only got the same clothes I had when I got there. Okay. So put the same clothes back on. I go back to the airport and I've got to give a guy that literally looks like he's a bum on the street. I give him my claim checks and he's pushing a shopping cart. He can go back through customs to go look for my luggage, but I can't. Finally, about 15 or 20 minutes, and the guy doesn't speak English. So I'm going under the person that I'm talking to, the interpreter right there behind the counter, which you're in an international airport, should be okay. He comes out with my luggage and gives it to me. Thankfully so, I do have my luggage. I go straight to the bowling center, open up my suitcase, grab a shirt and a pair of pants, change, and I am not kidding you when I tell you, my first ball that went down the lanes was halfway through practice. Needless to say, that's my Kuwait story. I bowled terrible. Nothing went right. And at the end of it, I was done. So now we're going to add to it
Oh, wait, there's more.
There's more.
We leave the Kuwait. We leave. I'm with Ronnie Russell, Chris Loschetter, Sean Rash. I don't think Ryan was with us. This was before Ryan started doing that. Somebody else was with us. We are going to another international event. I think we're going actually back to Munich, but we got to fly through Frankfurt. We all land in Frankfurt. They go through customs. As they go through customs, whoop, the guy shuts the gate. Nobody else can go through customs. I'm the very next person. I go, what's going on here? What am I getting stopped for? It wasn't just me. I mean, anybody behind me, we were all getting stopped. For whatever the reason, they had to shut the gate down so nobody could go through customs. I had to stand there for about 35 or 40 minutes until they got done working everything out. They opened up. I go through. I get through there, no problem at all. I get down. Would you believe, once again, I'm the last person to get on the flight. Okay. I walk on the flight and the guys are looking at me. They are laughing hysterically. I go, will you guys just shut up? Let's get out of here. Let's go to Munich. Let's go bowl something else. Matter of fact, forget me. Just let me get on a plane and go back home. Mike, it was absolutely catastrophic.
So that has to be the worst travel experience of your almost 40 years on the road, right?
By far. By far. And to this day, I've said it. I'll say it again. Somebody could make an unbelievable movie out of that whole, I'll say, 36-hour escapade, because it was 36 hours when I left until I actually arrived Kuwait. It was 39 hours for my luggage.
Miserable.
And the moral behind it is it was supposed to take me 16 hours. So 20 minutes, because that's all it was. If I would have gotten to DC 20 minutes earlier, I would have made my flight. So 20 minutes cost me 20 hours.
You know, you told me once that if you can drive to an airport within 4 hours, you drive.
I drive.
Remember, I was telling you I got delayed going up to Boston a couple years ago, and you said, well, why don't you just drive to Boston?
Yep.
And I said, well, the company paid for it. And you said, if you can drive within 4 hours, you drive.
Yeah, you don't hesitate. Get in your car and go.
Now,
that is fantastic.
So the next time that you have a flight out of DC, you're going to drive.
I might just do that. yeah, because that was a fiasco.
And then the next time you also fly, you got to make sure you have a towel in your carry-on.
Oh, yeah.
That's unbelievable, though.
And I'll make sure I put an extra bowling towel in there. Maybe I can use that to dry off.
But everything got there in one piece, though. Like, nothing was missing, so you had all your stuff.
Yeah, I got everything. It was fantastic. I'd highly recommend it. Go check yourself into an insane asylum first.
Justin, I never heard that one before. That is absolutely fantastic.
That is by far my favorite story, I think, ever.
No,
I never heard that one before. You know,
I've got like 8 more stories on this list.
You can't top that one. You can't top that one.
You can't top that one. I don't even know if you could follow that one up.
I got nothing compared to that. Nothing.
I'm kind of at a loss for words, guys.
I am too.
I think you should go check in and go try flying.
I do a lot of international business. That just makes me not want to go overseas to go to work.
Yeah, well, let's just hope your flights are fine. If your flights are fine, you're okay. If they're not, and just think that was before COVID-19 or before we had to wear a mask.
Was that before 9/11? No, it had to be after 9/11, obviously.
It was after 9/11.
It was like 2011, 2012.
I don't even know what year it was. All I know is that was the whole story. I felt like it was a year for me flying in just a matter of those 36 hours. Everything that could go wrong went wrong.
That's awesome, though. So, Justin, can we get a good one out? Can we get some comedy here? Can we get some more comedy out of him?
Oh yeah. So, all the times that you've flown, have you ever gotten on the wrong flight or gone to the wrong place or anything like that?
Fortunately, no. I mean, that story there, I was supposed to be in Frankfurt and we landed in Munich with no whereabouts as to what we were. I just happen to know that because I've been to Munich airport before. But one of my flights that I took, and this one happened just a couple years ago, and it's really funny when they check, your ID and everything else. I got my boarding pass. I was coming back home from Las Vegas, and I was supposed to be Las Vegas to Newark direct. And I get on the plane, and Mike, anybody that knows me, and my son will tell you, within 5 minutes of being on a plane, I'm gone.
You're sleeping.
I am sound asleep.
So you're a sleeper. He's a sleeper on the flight.
Yes.
Well, because I can't do anything else. I'm certainly not flying a plane. Okay. No. I don't have a problem driving 20 hours down the highway, and I'll do all the driving. Mm-hmm. But when I'm on a plane, I know it's as good to me as being back at home. It's good night. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to make up for some lost time. So I'm over there, my eyes are shut, and I barely hear them say, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, we'd like to welcome you to United Flight such and such going to San Francisco." What? I'm not going to San Francisco. I pull out my boarding pass again, and I look at it. It says going to Newark. So the lady, I go walking up in the front. I said, "Look, I'm not supposed to be on this plane here." I said, "I'm supposed to be going to Newark right now, not San Francisco." She goes, "How did you get on a plane?" I said, "I got on a plane the same way everybody else did. I showed them my boarding pass. They scanned it, and I came in." Okay. And the only thing I remember, the lady asked me, she goes, "You're in an emergency row. Do you mind in any problems along the way? Can you handle opening or doing something with the door?" I said, "That's fine. I've done enough flying. I'll be happy to do that." Yep. "Okay, sir. Thank you very much. Have a good night." That was it. Well, I'm sitting on a plane, and then all of a sudden they say we're going to San Francisco. I'm like, hold on a second here. And even when I got off the plane, the lady asked me, she goes, "Sir, do you have how did you get on this flight?" I said, "You scanned my ticket."
Yeah.
Okay. So it wasn't, I don't want to say it wasn't my fault. Maybe it was my fault. But the Newark San Francisco flights that were going out right next to each other. And the person wasn't there for the Newark flight at that time behind the desk. There was only one person. I just assumed that they were taking care of the Newark flight. Well, needless to say, I had to help myself and make sure I got off that plane real fast and got on the other one.
So you did it. So you made it happen.
Yeah. Oh, I made it happen. But I was almost on a trip going to, well, let's say I could have been Macaulay Culkin. Bohn lost in San Francisco airport or San Francisco. Story at 11.
This makes me not want to travel anymore.
Oh, Mike, please keep in mind, buddy. I've got over 2 million miles in the air with United alone. You know, maybe 100,000 or 200,000 with some other airlines, but I do all my traveling with United. I'm not going to sit here and bash them. Nope. Not at all. It's all been good. It's all been fine. Yeah, there's been some tricks and trials and tribulations along the way. But I'm going to say it this way. All of us that, regardless of what our job is, you have to deal with adversity. The biggest adversity for me, obviously, is on the lanes, trying to figure out how to manipulate what I need to do to knock over at least one more pin than everybody else. But if you cannot deal with adversity and challenging times, needless to say, you better change whatever you're doing and go do something that's a lot less complicated.
Justin, it's funny he brings up the 2 million miles. You remember you were telling me the story. He met the guy on the flight with the jacket.
Yes.
Right? The United, like the Superstar United guy.
That was actually where I was going to go next. What's the most amount of air miles you've seen from one person? You know,
Brent Perrier, may he rest in peace. He had 5 million miles with United. Okay, which is a lot of miles. There's one other person I knew that had 5 million miles that I'd met along the way. Rather, I didn't know them personally, but they had 5 million. And I'll say through my years out there, I think one person I had heard rumblings, somebody that had 10 million. But I'm on a flight, once again, international flight, going somewhere. And it had to be like from China to Japan or Japan to China, whatever the case may have been. And it was just a couple of years ago, actually. And I'm in the business class, and all of a sudden I hear this lady going, "Excuse me, pardon me, excuse me." And I'm like, we're almost on the plane here. We're only like 6 or 7 people from getting on the flight. Why are they saying excuse us? So I move out of the way, and I turn around and I look, and this guy's got a jacket on, and it says United Airlines, or it's got his name on one side. It says United Airlines on the other side, 19 million mile club. I go, get out of here. You can't 19 million miles. I mean, that's ridiculous. And I start doing the math in my head. I'm going, if the guy flies once a week from America somewhere to China and back, At the end of the year, he's got roughly 700,000 miles. Do you know how much flying this guy would have to do? That's absurd. So we're halfway through the flight, and I seen the one lady that came on with him. She's actually his personal assistant with United.
Jesus.
Yeah, she is. She works for United, but she is his personal assistant. The guy does have that many miles. He flies back and forth to China for whatever his business is once a week. Sometimes in the same week, he would actually get on another plane going back there again. Okay. So that explains why he racked up all those miles. I don't know what he did or what he does or anything else. But to back it up, somewhere on one of the morning shows, and I think it was on a Today Show because that's what I typically watch most of the time, they had a guy on there that was 20 or 21 million miler. And it has to be the guy because he's got a ridiculous amount of miles. I mean, can you imagine that? The guy has spent half his life flying
On an airplane. Half his life is traveling.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Something to work for, no?
Yeah. No.
No, he's out.
If I'm about 312 years old, I might get there. But up until that point, I'm out.
All right.
So do we want to stick with the flying? Because I got another one on this list.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
How long do we have, Justin? How about that? How long do we have the great one for?
You got anywhere you got to be?
No, I've got nowhere I'm going.
All right, so I don't think the fans or the viewers have an issue with. Let's just keep going. I think we should. Let's just keep going. So this one actually ends well, but getting there doesn't. When we're coming home from Reno in 2015, after the World Series, after you won Cheetah, after you won the PBA 50 Challenge.
Yeah, it was a really great event. I won Cheetah, I won the PBA 50 Challenge, and
You made the show on Scorpion?
Maybe I made the show on Scorpion, but more importantly, because I won one of the other events, all of the winners from the World Series were going to be in this little, let me say, one-ball roll-off.
So the PBA 50 Challenge was wrapped in with like a regional challenge, a Teen Masters one, and there was like one more in there too, like maybe a Women's Series one, something like that. And he won the PBA 50 one, and all four winners had a bowl and roll-off at the end of the show, and he didn't know that.
Yeah.
So we need to drive to San Francisco to fly out to go back home. We're going to take a red eye home. So he's like, oh, well, as soon as we get done, we'll bring everything in the car and drive to San Francisco. It'll be no issue. I'll let you go ahead and finish that one.
When I watched the way things were rolling along and how much things were getting delayed, I specifically had everything loaded into the car with the exception of my one triple ball bag and my bowling shoes. That's it. Okay. Leslie and both of the boys were there. We're going to sit here. As soon as this roll off is done, I'm sorry, I'm hightailing it. I'm out of here so that we can make our flight. Car's already gassed up. Everything is good. We get directly on the road afterwards. By the way, I didn't win the roll off.
Oh, and by the way, we ran to the car from the National Bowling Stadium. We ran to the car.
So I drive straight to San Francisco Airport or get really close. I got to gas it up because everybody else, you need to gas it up or gas is like $4.50 a gallon when you go to drop it off. Matter of fact, it's $4.50 a gallon. Right there near the airport. It's like $6 or $7 a gallon. Drop it off. I go through everything, drop them off. We go to check in. Everything is fine. Luggage gets in. We go through security. Now all the security lines are closed except one.
Yeah, it's like 12 o'clock at night.
Yep. And we have, let me say, barely enough time to get there, but we're okay. Here come 10 flight attendants from another airline. 10 of them. Well, guess what? They go in front of the line.
They get precedent right there.
They do. We were next to go through. No. So you can just sit here and wait. So they go through, and they've got their carry-on, and they've got their purses and whatever other incidentals they have. They're all very nice, wonderful people, I'm sure. We get through there. They get their stuff. We get our stuff. And you can tell that we're close for making it. Justin goes hauling down to the gate.
I was like, guys, take the stuff, jog. I will run. And I'm telling you, it had to be the furthest gate from security.
Yeah. Of course.
It was like a mile to run.
So he goes running all the way down there. And as we turn the corner to go to the last leg of our flight area, Justin flops in a chair, and I go, "Oh, this can't be good."
I watched them close the door.
They just closed the door. They're not going to let us on the plane. And I asked the lady. She said, "No, sir, the door is closed. You'll have to go over here to the desk to go change your flight." Well, this isn't going to work. Well, it's already now. It's God knows it's got to be almost 1 o'clock in the morning. So I call up United because there's 100 people in line. Not going to go stand in that line. I call up United. One thing leads to another. They're going to put us on a flight. The only flight that they can get us on is going to get us back to Newark. Keep in mind, kids got school on Monday, and it's a Saturday night red-eye flight. The only thing that they can do for us is tomorrow morning, there is a flight going from Reno to Fort Lauderdale and then Newark via. I'm like, are you kidding me?
It was out of San Francisco.
Yeah,
it was San Francisco,
Fort Lauderdale, and then Fort Lauderdale
to Newark.
Okay. Well, if that's the best we can do, you know what? Beggars can't be choosers because it's 4 of us flying, and it was a really busy weekend. It's like a week or 2 weeks before Christmas.
Yeah.
Whatever. It was a couple of days, a week before Christmas. So it'll work. Yeah. We're all set. Everything's good. I go to check on some flights the next morning that are going directly to Newark. Nothing on the 5 a.m. We spend the night in the airport, by the way. That was really comfortable. Freezing, mind you.
Oh, I've done that before. It's miserable.
Yeah, exactly. So the Newark Air flight, nothing's there. Nothing's at 5. Nothing's at 6. Nothing's at 7.
And he tries to get on like one at a time just so he can get back home. He had somewhere to be like the next day.
Yeah, but none of this worked out. So we go to get to our flight, going to Fort Lauderdale. And the lady politely tells us, she goes, when I go to check in to get our seats, she goes, unfortunately, we're in an oversold situation. So we don't know, but we're looking for some people here.
They needed 7 people to get off.
I'm like, okay, here we got 4 tickets. We're already screwed up here. What else could be wrong? So take our tickets. You know what? We can take and use whatever they're going to do down the road. There's 4 of us. You know, if they give me $100 or a couple $100, I'll be fine.
They needed 7 people to get off, and it was like $500 plane vouchers.
So I go back up afterwards. They said they're going to use us. Here's the story, Mike. They can't get us out till Monday morning.
Oh, God.
Now it's Sunday morning. We've just spent the night at the airport. Okay. They're going to give us 4 $500 vouchers.
Okay.
1 per ticket. That's
$2,000. That's not bad at all.
$2,000. And they're giving us vouchers to use for food in the airport. And they're going to give us a free hotel because we can't go out until Monday morning. Oh, hey, by the way, and here's your 4 first-class tickets to go out on Monday morning because the rest of the flight's full. So we're going to upgrade all 4 of you to first class. You kidding me?
Where do you sign?
I just want a regional. This worked out pretty good. And I didn't have to throw a shot. So, some flights have the war story. Some of them don't. But they're just some of the let's say, actions that can happen out on the road.
I love it. That was a good one, Justin.
That was a good ending one.
A very good ending one. You hit the lottery, basically.
Yeah, that worked out okay.
Oh, God.
What are you going to corner me into now?
You know, I think that we may have told this story on the air, and I'm not sure, when you were in Japan. And
the ball?
Yes.
We did that in with Tim and Chuck. They
we talked about it. Do you want to?
Oh, yeah, when I grabbed the ball out of the case. I'm bowling the Japan Cup one year. Fortunately, when you win the Japan Cup, you sign the ball that you used to win. You sign it over to the proprietor. He puts it in a showcase downstairs. The bowling center is on the 7th floor. The showcase is on the 1st floor when you go to take the elevator to come up. I go back the next year to defend my title. The first round, I'm probably somewhere around 10th, but I can't quite figure out what that little bit extra is that I'm going to need to get over the top. And I'm not playing the lanes the same, but there's still the same amount of friction. So I get ready to go out and bowl my second round. I bowled the first game, and I turned around, and I said, oh, it was like a switch went off in my head. I go, I got a ball in a showcase. I wonder if I can use it. And I asked Kirk Von Kruger, he goes, I said, Kirk, I said, the only thing is I signed it. So I don't mind wiping the dust off the ball, but I'm not going to touch the surface of the ball. Can I use it? He said, sure. Went downstairs, got the ball out of the showcase, proceeded to bowl the rest of that round and the next 2 rounds with that ball, ended up leading the tournament. I do not remember if I used the same ball to win it, but when it was all said and done, I re-signed the ball, gave it back to the proprietor because I did fortunately win the tournament again. And maybe I signed the same ball or left another one, but it actually turned out to be really cool. So I still got a ball sitting in the showcase if I want to bowl again.
I mean, really? Really?
You know, Mike, there are some weird stories when things are going, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But one of the other stories that happened was at the Delco Championship. The one year back in '97 when I was very fortunate to win that tournament there. Mm-hmm. Leslie at the time, we were boyfriend, girlfriend. Things were going fine. Everything was good. But I make this TV show. Now the tournament leader is Jason Couch. Mm-hmm. Okay. Jason is my roommate. And Leslie's out there, or she came out there the last 2 or 3 days to watch the event go, because the very next week we were going to Las Vegas anyway. So my uncles who are in Vegas drive over early Saturday morning to watch us bowl because they're going to be in Vegas to watch us bowl the following week. So they come driving over. They're watching us bowl. I win my match. Now I'm bowling Jason for the title. Jason gets done. He's sitting down. I need a double to win the title. I throw a double and 9 in the 10th. I win the title. Obviously, everything. I'm over the top. This is fantastic. Can't believe it. This all just unfolded the way that it did. My uncles asked me, hey, we're getting ready to take off now. Do you want us to just take your stuff and we'll see you tonight in Vegas? Yeah, that'll work out great. They take all of our equipment, and Jason's too, because Jason was really good friends with my uncles as well. They take all of our stuff. We get done in the press room. Now it's Jason, Leslie, and myself. We're going to go out to eat. Well, guess what, Mike? We go to take off. We go eat. We don't have our wallets because they happen to be in our bowling bag, with all of our incidentals still in our bowling bag. So I've got a check for $48,000. Jason's got a check for $24,000, and Leslie has to buy dinner for us. Yeah, that's a true story there. We got $72,000, and we can't pay for dinner.
We heard that one when we had Belmo on, Justin.
Yeah.
That was a good one too.
So,
well, lesson learned: always have your wallet on you.
Yeah. Okay. I'll try to make sure. Better yet, I'll make sure I put a credit card in my pocket when I put my wallet in my bowling bag.
And you won the next week in Vegas too.
I was very fortunate to win the next week in Vegas. That would be the infamous
299 show.
I qualified 5th and ran the ladder and bowled Walter Ray for the title. And Walter needed the first strike in the 10th to win, which he did get. Which anybody's seen Walter Ray get a strike plenty of times when he needed it.
Oh, is that picture we have with your arms like this and you got sweat stains?
He was sweating like a pig in that show.
Oh, it was 100 degrees in the bowling center. And I mean, it was.
He needed one of those showers in the airport on that show.
Yeah, exactly. With the toilet paper roll.
Yeah.
And, Walter had gone light on that lane once before in that very same match and left a bucket combination. And I'm sitting there going, well, I mean, he almost left the bucket one other time. He might leave a bucket. Would you believe, lo and behold, he throws a shot and the head pin goes right around everything. He leaves the bucket. I fell on the floor because now I've won.
Yeah.
And I got my hands behind my head. I can't believe what's just happened here. And won back-to-back weeks. It was a pretty amazing 2 weeks out on tour.
That was
for sure.
So, Justin, are we gonna get into the bowling stuff now? Well, you know what I've always wanted to ask him.
Yeah,
I want to.
Here we go.
No. I this is gonna be behaved. You got a good Mike Miller story?
There are plenty of good Mike Miller stories.
So we've heard the one when he humped the ball return, when he shot 300 on TV.
Yeah.
And I think Doug was the one, right, Justin? He said he bowled with his underwear at a practice session. Was he couldn't bowl in jeans?
That was in Albany.
And those are the only two we heard. But we heard he was like the most he's nuts.
Let's just say I'll give you the Mike Miller story that happened in Portland, Oregon. Okay. Portland, Oregon. We have our locker room is in the basement of the bowling center, but the basement is actually the parking garage. Okay. The bowling center is up one floor from the parking garage. The entire bottom floor is parking facility for the bowling center. So we are down in the basement. They've got big black, like visqueen tarp surrounding our locker room. So there's really only one way in. It's a small passageway. You got to move the tarp out of the way and you get inside there. And all the guys have their bowling equipment there. There's shelving everywhere. There's a workout facility, but you can do pretty much what you want to do. It is our locker room. Well, every time somebody would go over for the first 24 hours we were there, every time somebody would go over and touch the ball spinner, if one or two guys were working something out on the workout table, unfortunately, whoop, the electric went out, the power went out. Well, when you're in the basement already, and now you've got black tarp around everything, when the power goes out, it is pitch black. So this happened once or twice. Well, now Mike's over there doing his thing. Everybody else is getting ready. They're doing whatever. Power goes out. Nobody knows what's going on. For God's sake, somebody's got to run all the way back upstairs to tell them to turn the power on. Well, a couple of minutes goes by, and finally the power gets turned on. And here is Mike standing over in the corner with his back to the wall, facing all of the guys with nothing on.
Stop it.
Nothing on. Okay. So then Mike proceeds to take his hand and he crosses his hands in front of his groin area, and then he's giving it that look like what just happened? And I mean, guys are just busting out laughing. It's Mike Miller at his best, but Mike Miller just being natural. So never a dull moment with Mike Miller.
Yeah, Doug said he could make anybody like cry at the drop of a hat.
Oh my God. He would just some of the things he did. Let's just say if you were there, regardless of what your day was, you had tears in your eyes.
See, that wasn't so bad.
No.
That was a good Mike Miller story.
We've been waiting for that, Justin. I've been waiting for a good Mike Miller story.
And that's probably the third good one you've heard on the show.
That's the best one I've heard so far.
Yeah, that was a good one.
So what do you want to do next here, bud?
Do we want to go on? I think I've got one more story I think I want to hear.
Uh-oh.
And then I think if you want to go into 10 frames of questions, I think you've got some lined up. I think we can do it that way.
And we can get some more out of him with my stuff too.
Oh yeah. Stories will come. So
you're gonna go. I'm finally gonna go one-on-one with you. Finally.
Oh boy, here we go. Oh,
So-
not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
one more.
Yep.
When you had to do an exhibition in China.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. How'd you get there?
Well, this was it was a 20-day escapade. I was going 10 days in China and 10 days in Japan, with 1 day in the middle. But I'm over in China and we're hopping around from one city to another. I kind of looked, I don't want to say the Star Spangled Banner, but I was all over the map. Okay. And let me just say, whatever China's version of the Star Spangled Banner is. So one of our mornings, because our mornings typically start at 5 a.m., I said to, where are we going today? He goes, oh, we're going to fly to Shanghai today. Oh, okay, cool. So we're on the flight. And I turn around and go, well, what time do we arrive? He goes, we get in right around 8 o'clock. Okay. What time's the exhibition? 11 o'clock. Really? How far is it away? He goes, it's about a 3-hour drive. 3 hours? Shanghai is like New York City, folks. You arrive during the week at 8 a.m., you're going nowhere.
With rush hour.
Going nowhere. So I looked at him and go, how are we going to drive 3 hours under normal circumstances? Now we're in rush hour. How are we going to get there in our exhibition and be there on time? He goes, oh, Parker, don't worry. They've got that all worked out. Okay. I don't need to ask anymore. Somebody comes out. We grab our luggage because luggage actually is very fast there in China. We got to the carousel. They grabbed our luggage. We put it in the car. We get inside. We are in 2 Humvees.
Okay.
And I've got a 3-hour escort to my exhibition. We get 2 minutes out of the parking lot. We've already got the lights going on. Okay. And then the guy turns on the siren. I go, you're kidding me. I go, no way. I turned around to the guy that was my interpreter. I goes, does your phone call America? He goes, yeah. So I call up Leslie. Once again, we're not married. I said, hey, babe, listen to this. I took the phone. I hung it right next to the roof. She goes, oh, my God, are you okay? I said, hey, I'm doing totally fine. I said, I've got a 3-hour police escort to my next exhibition. I said, Michael Jordan, eat your heart out.
Like that, you were like the president, basically.
Oh, my God. Mike, I never had anything like that before. That was pretty cool.
I mean, it must be nice to be you for a day.
We passed thousands of cars.
And they must have thought who you were. They were probably like, who is this person in the back of the Humvee? Like, who is here?
Maybe, but I'll tell you what, we got there on time.
Justin, nice life this guy has, right?
Yeah.
Seriously.
I'm glad I was part of one of those stories.
Yeah. Well, it would have been better if you were in the Abu Dhabi story.
Oh, yeah. Dude,
Oh, for sure.
that would have been fun. Well, maybe not during, but would have been fun to tell it after.
So what do you want to do, bud?
I think you got 10 frames of questions lined up.
Are we ready?
I think so. I think we're good.
Well, we got a couple normal ones and a couple different ones that I threw in just because of who it is.
Okay.
All right.
Tell me these ahead of time.
No, I did not tell you these ahead of time. No, they're nothing bad. I promise you, nothing bad. So one of my, and I'm not going to ask the one that we did with Belmonte about the dinner bill.
Okay.
We're not going to do that one. So we asked this one to a bunch of people, Parker. So who's the best player that never won on tour? And now we have two. Justin and I have kind of agreed on the two, right, Justin?
Yeah.
So our two, Richie Wolf.
Yep.
And Brian Leclerc.
Richie Wolf.
Richie Wolf.
Richie Wolf. No question. I mean, he throws it so good, it's ridiculous. Sticks it at the foul line, gets all over it, doesn't get cheated, could throw messengers around when a lot of other guys were not throwing messengers around. His ball was going to bend at the break point when other guys couldn't get their ball to go any more than a string down the lane. It was just unbelievable how good he could get it off of his hand and how solid he was at the foul line.
So
This guy, he should be a double-digit winner.
Wow.
And to think that he never won once is really, truly sad.
So he was like a righty almost in a lefty's body, basically. He threw it really well.
Yeah, if you want to say that, but he just threw it unbelievably good. And furthermore, you can look at after he quit the tour, a couple years went by, and then he came out and bowled the U.S. Open 1 year earlier, and he made
the show
earlier.
Yeah, and they're impossible. They were impossible that year.
Yes. Yeah, that's how good Richie throws it.
All right. So Richie Wolf is the answer there, Justin.
Yep.
Then we'll go to number 2 then. This is another good one. Who's the player that should have won more than he did on tour? We asked this to Barnes, and he had one guy that he said instantly was the answer. Remember that one, Justin?
The player that should have won more
than he did
on tour. Oh, that's a really tough one. I have not thought about that one.
Can I give you what Mr. Barnes answered?
You can tell me what you come up with. I've got one small in my head, but
Robert Smith.
Yeah, with the amount of power that he possessed at that time, he had more power than everybody. I would say he should have won more. But when I look at Robert Smith won, I think 7 or 8 times. I don't know the exact number there, but I look at that and go, that's not a bad career at that point.
No, and he had the major, so no, not at all.
Yeah, so I look at that as being pretty good. I think that Machuca's got a really super good release, and he's got a lot of tricks in his bag. He's won, I think, 3 times. Do I think he could have won more? Yeah, I really do. At the end of the day,
yeah, his game is pretty solid, really solid.
Yeah. So I look at somebody like him and say that he should have been able to win a couple more times. But there's so many great players on tour, Mike. My God.
All right, let's try number 3, Justin. You ready for this one?
Go ahead.
Who was hurt the most by the invention of resin and why?
Who was hurt the most by resin and why? Believe it or not, I'm going to go with Mike Miller at that point. I'm going to go with Mike Miller, and I'm going to give you my reason why there. Mike had formulated, he was a traditional bowler, one-handed, all the way. And he went home and learned how to throw the no thumb release. And it gave him, the power he created was unbelievable. And he worked at it. There's no question. He didn't just snap his fingers and he became a no thumb release instantly. But his no thumb release, when you watch his ball go down the lane, it made a significant move on the back part of the lane. Well, when resin came along, a lot of other players automatically had what he had gone home and crafted out and made better. And now a bunch of these other players, if I want to look at Mike with his no thumb, the power went to this level. These players instantly went to that level. And I'm going to start off with me. I'll raise my hand and say, I might have been one of those players that all of a sudden had that power given to me by a resin.
So like Miller's trick basically went away when resin came out.
It really did.
And even the playing field basically.
It certainly did. You know, and he still had the power, don't get me wrong, but so did a lot of other guys.
All right, that's a good one. So then here I'm sticking with that whole theme with the urethane stuff and the resin. So the next one, so like take Dell or Pete, right? Mm-hmm. Why did they have so much hard time like adapting to it? Like Dell never won a title with a reactive bowling ball. Mm-hmm. Like, but why couldn't they adapt to, or what made it take so long to adapt to it?
I think that those two players were really awesome at getting their ball down the lane easily and then formulating with their hand to allow their ball to pick up and change direction. And now with resin balls, Dell was softer speed than Pete. No question about that. But now with resin balls, it will create too much angular motion on the back end. So if they get a little bit soft with it with a regular ball that might have been 4-pin, now it can be a little soft for big 4.
Yeah, or 3-6-10, yeah.
If they get too jumpy with it, now to keep it off the nose, they got to open their angle too much. If they get fast with it, all of a sudden 2-4-8-10 is going to show up in a heartbeat. So, you know, as much as it was a fan favorite, it turned out, you know, Walter Ray has made it work impeccable, obviously, for my God, all those years. And he's a product of your environment. We all are. I mean, we all have the same tools basically to work with. It doesn't matter which company or which brand you throw. But for those two players there, I'm going to say that resin, it didn't do anything more beneficial to them. They already had a really phenomenal release with a really phenomenal entry angle. Well, now here we go once again. You put them here, and you just brought a bunch of more players up to that playing field.
Interesting. All right. So here's another one for you. So of all the players you've seen, like all the, forget the tour guys, like the amateurs and the professional amateurs that you've seen, the Team USA guys and whatnot, who's the one person that you feel would have made a big splash on tour that never bowled on tour?
I think the guy that sticks out in my mind there is a guy named Joe Vito.
Oh, from Texas.
Yes, from Texas. Yeah, you've probably heard his name if you talk to some of the guys, especially the guys that are from the Texas area. They all know Joe very good. And that doesn't mean that there's not a lot of other good amateur players around the country, for that matter, around the world. But Joe, when Joe came out on tour to bowl an occasional event as an amateur, his ball would pick up and change direction. If he was, it looked like he was on tour for a decade. He didn't have to go out there and create it. It just came naturally. So for me, at least in my eyes, in the 30 plus years I've been out on tour, Joe Vito would be that guy.
Does he still bowl?
I think he bowls once a week back at home locally. I think he lives in the San Antonio area. But, you know, once again, Mike, you can't quote me on that because I don't see him, but maybe I think the last time I've seen him might have been 6 or 7 years ago.
All right. So Justin, let's make this one a local question, shall we?
Okay, go ahead.
This one never asked this one before. So I'm going to give you 4 local legends, buddy. All right.
Okay.
Who's the one guy that could have made it on tour? And I think 2 of them bowled on tour. But if you had to pick one of these four, who could have made it on tour? Charlie Del Plato, Paris, John Gualtieri, Charlie Bruno.
Ooh, tough one.
And they're all really, really good players.
They're very good players.
Yeah.
And it's hard to pick one out of the bunch. I'll give you the pros and cons, at least in my eyes, of all four of them. Charlie did bowl out on tour.
Del Plato or Bruno?
Charlie Del Plato did bowl out on tour.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was caught up. Life is all about timing. And I'm going to say it bluntly that way. He got caught up in some of the junk that might have gone on in games that were played with lanes back in the early 80s before I came out on tour. And I think that he got stopped a couple times that way, directly or indirectly. Keep in mind, I didn't bowl those events. I'm just going by what I hear from other bowlers. And when I hear this, I'm going by right-handed and left-handed bowlers. So I'm going to look at them. They're bowlers. To me, I don't care what hand they throw with. Mm-hmm. Okay. But I think that's probably the one thing that hurt him. Paris was a pure shot maker. There is no doubt in my mind that anybody around here could not out shot make John Paris. But his speed was so soft that I think when you bowled on tour and the way that the oil was out there on the lanes and or when the lanes started to change, John could still get to the pocket, but it was going to be one or two soft 10 pins that were going to do him in at the end. Mm-hmm. If he needed a strike to win, his ball was getting to the 1-3. And it's the same thing with Charlie. If Charlie needed a strike to win, his ball was getting to the 1-2. Mm-hmm. So the two of them are way up here. Bruno did go out on tour for about 6 months. He was out there. Once again, he had his ball would snap. It was going to turn down lane. No doubt about it. But he couldn't control the hook on the back end. And therefore, he made a couple of finals, I believe, a couple of top 24s. But when he got to the top 24 there, the lanes didn't break down the same way. And therefore, his ball would break loose from the lane. And the learning curve, I believe in my heart, if he would have stuck with it a little bit more, he certainly had the power and he definitely had the ball speed. But for whatever the reason, Charlie said, this isn't for me. And he decided to go back at home. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now the last player is Gualtieri. Gualtieri never really bowled a tour stop. At least not that I know of. He bowled the Masters a couple of years, and he certainly made the top 64 in the Masters a couple of those years. I think that John, just like the other three players we talked about, he had the guts to make it work. He had the game to make it work. But with his unique style, God bless him, I don't know that his knee would have lasted.
I never remember John like with good knees. I always remember him always like limping around. Mm-hmm. And he has that, and for nobody knows who John Gualtieri is, he slides and hops.
Yes. Basically.
So for anybody who was wondering what his unique style is, he slides and hops. But even now, like looking at him, I think he moved down to the Carolinas. He's not around here anymore.
I know.
Yeah, I think he moved to Myrtle Beach. But the last time I saw John, he could barely walk. He had knee replacements and whatnot. But he was always, I always put him in like the Paris level. Like I would have loved to see him back in the day.
Him, Paris, Del Plato, because the three of them basically are about the same age. And, mm-hmm. Charlie Bruno obviously is a couple years younger than me. So there's a big difference between the three of them and Charlie Bruno. But any one of those three, you could look at the possibilities for making it on tour, even though it did not work the greatest for John Paris and Gualtieri. Why? What makes something tick? What doesn't it? I was a single guy when I went out there. I'm going to look at both of those other two guys and say they were already married. After 3 years out on tour, you know what? If it's not working for you, you're going to figure out how to bring a paycheck home to put food on your table. And with Gualtieri got married at a little bit younger age, meaning in his early 20s, I believe. So now for him, he was fine working at home. He didn't care to go traveling around. I don't think for John living out of a suitcase, John Gualtieri, I don't think him living out of a suitcase was a fan favorite of his.
Yeah, you can't picture John getting stuck at an airport in Abu Dhabi.
No, not even. He don't want to get stuck in an airport in Newark, New Jersey, for God's sakes. And for Charlie Bruno, it didn't work out right for Charlie. But once again, there were hopeful and there were signs that it was going to, but for whatever the reason, God bless him. And I'm certainly not going to crowbar him because I think the world of Charlie Bruno as a player. He just decided, I had enough. I'm going to go home and I'm going to do my thing and just bowl locally.
That sounds like Dwayne Fisher. There's another one for you.
There's another one.
But he did win.
He did win. Dwayne would be another one of those guys that I think could have won a lot more out on tour. He had that release. When we talk about Robert Smith won 6, 7, 8 times. Mike Machuga won 3 or 4 times. Dwayne Fisher's a guy that could have won way more than what he did with only walking away with 1 title. And for those of you that don't know about Dwayne Fisher, go check out the Touring Players Championship in Detroit, Michigan. You'll watch him bowl Jess Stayrook for the title. And folks, when you watch the way that he bowls, trust me when I tell you, he outhooked me by probably 6 to 8 boards on an average day.
And you two made a double show one year too.
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah, Dwayne Fisher threw well.
We bowled really good. That's for sure.
All right, here's another one for you. So this may sound a little bit dumb.
How come your name wasn't in that top 4 list just a minute ago?
Mine?
Yeah.
Oh, we'll get to that in number 10. We'll explain that way for my last one. All right. We'll get to that at the very end here. So who's the most underrated guy you've ever seen bowl on tour? Underrated guy.
Oh, underrated. Oh, my God. Mike, I've seen so many players throughout the years that have bowled. And when I say underrated, guys that worked hard at their game that didn't have enough to, let's say, stand out or that worked for them. I'm at a loss here right now.
I got him, Justin.
You did.
I wasn't trying to stump him.
Well, you did because once again, there are so many great players that come out on tour. Richie Wolf had that. He had that, let me say, tattoo of being underrated, and the only reason he was underrated was because, unfortunately, he never got to the winner's circle.
Can I give you one?
Go ahead.
So he's a Hall of Famer, and he toured full time back in the '80s. Dave Houston.
I can see where you could say Dave Houston was underrated, but you know what? As much as he was underrated, I think the only thing that Dave Houston did not have was a Player of the Year title. But the guy won 14 or 15 titles on tour.
He won the U.S. Open 3 times.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that Dave was underrated. Every player gave him the full respect on the lanes.
Mm-hmm.
When I look at somebody that's underrated, I'm going to look at a player that when he's out there bowling and they look at the field, let me use a typical top 24. They're going to go, well, one of these 10 guys really has they're the guys to beat. And then they're going to look at the other 14 guys and go, well, 1 or 2 of them is probably going to get there, but we don't know who. And that's just the unfortunate way that things would unfold. Mm-hmm. So therefore, those players would be the underrated players, but respectfully so. When you look at somebody like Richie Wolf, once again, you're going to go, how do you not put him in that top 10 list? Only because he never really went all the way in one.
All right. Justin, this is another one of my staple ones. All right. So age is not a factor here. All right. So we're going to go with the urethane Rhino Parker. We're going to have the Rhino Pro Parker, the Danger Zone Black Ice Parker, the Green Tracer Parker. I know you like the Green Tracer. That was a good one.
Just a little bit.
And then the more modern 2000s DV8 Radical Parker. Which Parker was the toughest and why? Age is not a factor either.
Age is not a factor.
And that's a pretty good through the years right there.
Yeah, it certainly is. I'm going to say that the Parker that bowled the Danger Zone / Ice series, that later 90s, early 2000 timeframe, I had about a 5-year span there that it didn't matter where I was, what was going on. When I got to the lanes, I knew I was going to be a factor. Mm-hmm. I believed in myself. I knew that I had great equipment in my bag. It seemed like everything fit like a glove. I wasn't fiddling and fishing around. Just grab a ball, throw it down a lane. If that one's not right, you're going to know it in 2 shots. Grab another ball. Okay? It was that easy. It was a switch. There was a sequence of switches that I could turn on and off, and I knew which ones needed to be turned on and which ones needed to be turned off. And decisions were made very easy. I'll say it this way. I was healthy at that time. Not that I'm unhealthy now, okay? But occasionally, and Justin will tell you, once in a blue moon, I'll go, oh boy, the knee hurts today. Maybe because I'm sticking on the approach. And then, he'll look at me and go, Dad, you need a little bit more practice. Well, Justin, you don't realize, but the practice mode right now, the body doesn't want to practice what the body did back in the late 90s there. Okay? The body could go out there and bowl 200 games if I really needed to. I did exhibitions and appearances that I bowled 50 games, Mike, in one day. 50. And the only reason I stopped is because we were done. I could have probably gone out and bowled 10 or 20 more games if I really needed to. Not that I wasn't tired, okay? But physically, I felt fine. So, but back in that 5-year span there, mentally and physically, you had your hands full if you were going to bowl against Parker Bohn then.
Ooh, I like that, Justin. He just said, come get some. That's what he told everybody back then.
Yeah, he said, if you want it, come get it.
If you want it, come get it. All right, Justin, I got one more.
Okay.
And this is the last one. And this is the one that everybody's dying to know, Parker. Why can't I make a spare when you are in the building ever? Explain this to me. So is it a mental thing? Because I'll go for weeks and months at a time, and Justin will attest to this, where I don't miss a single pin for 4, 5, 6 weeks, right? The second you pull your car into the parking lot of wherever bowling center I'm at, it's an automatic 9 out. What is my problem?
It's a hit the reset.
It's automatically hit the reset. But you know what, though, Justin? When we bowl the state tournament together, 30 clean. I never have an open. Ever. Whenever he's there in league, I can't make a spare. And it's comical because he'll even call what I'm going to do.
He's like oh, 9 miss.
No, watch, I'll leave the 6-10. Oh, watch, Mike, you picked the 6 right off of this one. Clean pick right the 6 off. And I just watch him, and he's just hysterical laughing. It's comical, though.
Talk yourself into all of those issues. Mike,
it's comical.
Look at it this way. If they picked you right now to go bowl in the title match at whatever tournament you want to pick. I don't care if it's the U.S. Open, the Tournament of Champions, the Masters, the Touring Players Champion. It doesn't make – it could be the title match of the Monmouth County Masters. Okay? You believe in yourself?
Right now?
Right now.
Not bowling in 3 months.
Oh, well, okay, forget that. Let's go prior to that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
110%.
So every time that you put your ball in your hand, you believe that you can do it.
Absolutely.
When I walk in, I think that you immediately think, I'm going to miss this 10 pin. You talk yourself out of it. And it's just like, Mike, I got to give it to you just like I would tell anybody else for a lesson. You've practiced it 1,000 times before. You know how to make it. You probably have made at some point in your lifetime, and I'm going to say it this way, you've probably made 100 out of 110 pins if you've shot it that many. Okay? And when I say 100, you didn't sweat any one of them just because you knew what you needed to do. Get up there, make a pass at the ball, hit your target, knock the pin over. Done deal. Shrub your hand, go.
Justin, he even one night kept a track of it on his little styrofoam salad container. How many opens I had.
I remember that.
Well, when you missed 3 10 pins in a matter of 16 frames, I mean, you were starting to get in John Donovan territory at that point.
That was brutal. And then we practiced afterwards, Justin, and for about 5 or 6 in a row, pick it straight off. 1 out. We hit a reset. Pick another 1 out. And he looked at me. He goes, well, why can't you do that when it counts? I don't know.
It's because you think a negative. If you think a negative, Mike, you're going to repeat a negative. You can't do that. And it's anything you do in life, buddy. Okay? I know that you're a good spare shooter. I'm going to bust your chops until the cows come home.
We have that on quote now. We have that on quote, Justin.
Yep. Yep. I mean, I've watched you bowl Wii plenty of times. I know you're fantastic on Wii shooting spares. Okay. Now, if you can get that to transcend into your actual bowling game, you're going to be one hell of a player on the line.
I may have to have a career change at this point then.
You might.
Justin, those are my final 10.
He made it.
He made it. And I told you they weren't going to be bad. They were not bad.
No.
What did we learn in the final 10, Justin?
God, you're putting me on the spot.
Richie Wolf should have won on tour. We learned that.
Yeah, no doubt.
Does he still bowl?
Richie does bowl. He doesn't bowl significant tournaments that I'm aware of anymore. He's managing a bowling center in York, Pennsylvania. He obviously grew up down there in Virginia, just outside of D.C. But a couple of years ago, he took over a management position in a bowling center, I believe Suburban Lanes in York, Pennsylvania. And folks, if you ever have the opportunity to go in there, just look for Richie Wolf. He's one hell of a guy. Would give you the shirt off his back and would help anybody at every time.
Is he 50? Is he eligible for the senior tour?
I don't believe he's 50 yet. It may still be another year or two away. And then again, maybe he is 50. I don't know that answer exactly. But he's a guy that he could put his shoes on and just natural ability, just like Dwayne Fisher and a couple of the other players. He's going to wind it up and let it go, and it's going to look effortless as it comes off his hand.
Justin, did you ever ask him what about his opinion of the PBA 50 teams, what we've been discussing?
Yeah, I think that you would agree with it, that it would be a good idea adding PBA 50 teams to the PBA League.
Hey, I'm for it if they want to do it, tomorrow. But you got to remember this, that a couple of your really great players from the PBA 50 Tour are already on teams, a.k.a. Walter A. Williams, a.k.a. Pete Weber, a.k.a. Norm Duke.
Yep.
Okay. And there could be a fourth guy that I don't know who exactly, but maybe there is one other player. Chris Barnes.
Barnes is 50 now.
Barnes is 50 now, and he's on there too. So, that's 4 players that we're talking about.
Yep.
I think it would be a great idea, though. You have the women with the kids, and then bring the 50 guys in.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's got a chance.
Justin,
I think we're gonna wrap this one up. This was a really good one, and
yep.
I'm glad we now have the Kuwait story on tape.
We do, and I have him finally admitting that I can shoot a spare decently.
Yep.
On the Wii.
Yeah, on the Wii, yes, of course. And we will be back Thursday.
We'll be back Thursday with the fatal 3-way of the trivia contest with Matt McNeil, Tim Mack, and Johnny Petraglia Jr.
So Parker, if you were a betting man, who would you pick in the finals for this match on Thursday?
Man, I'll tell you, that's a tough one to call. Matt McNeil knows a lot, but Johnny Jr. is just like his father. He's got an endless book of encyclopedia up here. Where Timmy's going to come into play there, I don't quite know. Timmy does know a lot, don't get me wrong, but Timmy wasn't wrapped into the tour for that knowledge noteworthy as much as I think the other two. So I think the other two are going to leave Timmy a little bit in the rears, and Timmy may surprise us, but I think that the other two are going to battle it back and forth.
That sounds
and it's going to be one question at the end that's going to give it to one of them.
And you've heard the questions, so there's no advantage to anybody. And one of our fans checking in.
God, no.
John Spence, can you please let someone else win the New Jersey State All Events title?
How many times have you won the All Events, Parker?
I think I won it 5 times and finished second 2 or 3.
Oh, God.
So.
All right, hang in there.
John, I'm sorry, but I have to tell you this, and I've said it ever since I went out on tour. When I used to be able to bowl the county tournament, and I don't think I can still bowl that because they stopped that one. But the county tournament and the state tournament were the only 2 days out of the year. I did not care if I bowled 450 or 850. I was out there to enjoy myself and have a good time. And Mike, I'm going to say it this way because unfortunately he was a very good friend of all of us.
Bob.
Bob Serby was one of my teammates. I bowled with him for 25 years. Bob and Ron Paget, mainly Ron, but Bob as well. They were the reason that I had the opportunity to go out on tour. They talked Jerry Connor into sponsoring me a long, long time ago and made Jerry rest in peace as well. But when I look at the way that some of the things that happened there, they were the 2 times out of the year that I wanted to go out there and have fun. And I sincerely did. And both of them, along with the rest of the teammates, made it a blast to be on the lanes. And, there was picking that went on back and forth. It was all fun. It was all a great time. And I wish nothing but all of that for everybody every single time they go out there to bowl as well.
Except for me.
Well, no. Your fun on the lanes is entertainment for the rest of us.
I'm done.
We appreciate that. Especially Mike. She loves every minute of it, too.
Oh, she's laughing her tail off across the room right now. Justin, I am good. This was a good one.
So then we are going to wrap this one up. Hi, Jackie. So, again, our fatal 3-way between McNeil, Mack, and Petraglia Jr. on Thursday at 6 p.m. We have the live with the PBA draft for the ladies next Tuesday. We'll be going live at 3:30 with special guest from InsideBowling.com, Mike Flanagan.
That should be a good one.
So I'm excited. It's going to be a good time. If you watched our live with the PBA draft with Chuck Gardner, it was a good time. We're going to have guests in, coaches in.
Yeah, Parker, we did a pretty good show with the draft show.
He watched the whole thing, 3.5 hours.
He did.
Look, I know you guys are wrapping up right now, but Mike, I have to say this to you, and I'm going to say it, and not just because Justin's my son.
Oh, boy.
You guys do one heck of a job each
thank you.
every show. I have sat and listened to some of the shows because I had some time. I've only caught bits and pieces on other shows. And as soon as I sit there and I watch what happens, and I'm going to say it bluntly, the PBA draft, I initially had some things I had to do that night. I sat there for the first 10 minutes, and I was sucked into the TV for the remainder of the show that night. And you guys had a long show. It was awesome to watch. Do me a favor. Please keep it up because bowling fans around the world are sincerely enjoying it.
Thanks, man. That's the goal when we started this thing, Justin. At Fruita Bowl, we said they need people like us to do this. So hopefully we can just keep it going, right?
Yeah, we plan on doing this for quite some time to come.
Absolutely. And when you go to college, I just don't want to inherit your brother as a partner. That's the only rule.
No, we can't.
That's the only rule I got.
No, that can't happen. Wherever I end up, Brandon will not be your partner.
Probably
Thank you.
TV screens and computers flying.
Yeah, we don't need that. And a sensor coming out from wherever he is.
Oh yeah. So we're gonna wrap this one up. If you guys are watching on Facebook, follow the page. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel so you always know when we go live. This was an absolute blast with the amount of stories that we told. It was a really good time. Thanks, Dad.
Thank you, buddy.
Welcome.
So as for now, I'm Justin Bohn, my partner Mike Valanzano. This is the Bohn N Zano Zone. We're always on the lanes, off the charts, and on the mic. See you guys on Thursday for the finals of the trivia contest.